Hello, welcome back to my channel. Long time no speak, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great. I am just on real quick to say that look out for some videos coming up. I think I took a break from YouTube because I needed to. A lot has gone on. If you follow me over on Facebook or Instagram, you kind of know we recently had to move. Um, that was an ordeal, to say the least. It wasn't planned, but unfortunately, the county is um, buying our landlord's property, her home place, and moving her out for a road expansion. So she needed to move into our home. She needed a full gut renovation of that home. Um, and so the timing just wasn't something we were gonna wait on because she needed all the lead time that she could possibly get to get that house up to snuff for her to move in. So we went from potentially possibly moving um, the end of October. We actually moved within 2 weeks of speaking to her and really getting a full idea of what she had planned on doing to the house. So we moved in with Mickey's dad, and we have a great plan in place to get our own forever home. As you guys know, we initially moved into the farmhouse to do a lease purchase. The landlord, uh, prior to his death, was Mickey's boss for over 20 years, so um, weren't going to pay a lot for it, but when we started doing small renovation projects, we realized that, it needed all new electric, all new plumbing, and that just wasn't something that was in our budget. So we dropped down to just renting the home. And, during the pandemic and everything, that cheap rent really provided us and served us well. House had a few problems, uh, the septic being one of them. So we were on borrowed time with the septic, and she's going to be replacing all of that, putting central heat and air in it. So we moved here with the dogs and Pixie, the cat. She's outside loving her new porch. Um, Obi moved in with his father uh, across the county. I'll be spending as many weekends with him as I can. This weekend we're going out for a little day date. Um, and he might come over and spend some time with us here. But other than that, things are great. I am loving my new job. I work for a mental health facility now, which is great. Something I've always wanted the opportunity to do. Now I'm here. So that's wonderful. I did keep my old job just part-time until we can get, or they can get new people on board. Struggling to retain people right now, I guess, across all um, aspects of business. So that part-time job is just until they hire someone, or, if I decide to not do it anymore, then that's likely what'll happen, because um, it's extra money, sure, but I'd like to have my time back. So the new full-time job is going great. Love the company. They are out of Birmingham. Um, Great company, like I said. Totally a world of difference between the two companies, and that's why I decided to leave the other one. But I was happy to take some extra money, uh, given the situation that we were facing. I was happy to just keep it going for a little while and use that money to invest into eBay, which is also going great. So yeah, I basically have 3 jobs, which you know, I trade being busy, over here to being busy somewhere else over here. So that's another reason why I quit focusing so much time on Um, YouTube, it became very overwhelming for me to try and make sure that I had content and try to keep up. And, the FOMO had gotten so out of control when we moved. It was just unreal how much stuff, even after the huge destashes that I did, even after the amount of craft supplies I've sold on eBay, I still have just too much stuff. It's gross, actually. It's really gross to have so many things in your stash that you've never used, you probably won't ever use. So it made no sense to keep a lot of those things. I'll be putting some stuff in an upcoming yard sale that my aunt is having, so to lessen that burden. I did keep a lot of paper crafting stuff. It's all accessible downstairs. Should I get the urge to paper craft again? Everyone knows that I had switched over to mixed media. That's really what I love to do. That's what I will continue to do. So if you do see videos from me, they are going to be mixed media based. I'll try to mix some paper crafting into that as much as I can. I have a huge Halloween swap that Leslie and I have been planning for months now. And now that I'm settled here in this house, I can focus on that and get some work done. So looking forward to crafting this Sunday and hopefully filming a video. I am crafting along with It's a Deal. She is doing a Halloween clipboard swap, and while I missed the deadline to sign up for that, that's okay. I reached out to her and just let her know that I would be crafting along, and that I would mention, give credit to the idea to her, of course. Other than that, I haven't been watching much YouTube. I did post yesterday on Facebook and Instagram that Pat was in the hospital last week. She had COVID. When I talked to her on the phone, you would have not known that Pat was even sick. She sounded great. And so, I questioned it. And then after I talked to her, I spoke to the doctor the next day. And he was amazing. He called me every day to update me and just let her know, what her status was. And of course, he'd not treated her before, so it was important for him to speak to me just to gauge her communication, her mental capacity, her, you know, her status, I guess you could say. So we spoke at great length. She had not fallen or anything, and they don't randomly test at the assisted living facility, apparently. But she did have a period of confusion while she was bathing, and it was out of the ordinary for Pat's already out of ordinary status. So they immediately tested her, and the doctor suspected that because of the COVID, it caused her MS to flare, and it caused, all of her residual stroke issues to kind of elevate a little bit. So whatever the case was, she had a very mild case of COVID. They treated her with the I can't say the word, remdesivir, maybe, but she responded very well. She did have some slight fatigue. He said that was the main reason that they were keeping her for the week that they did, just so that they could make sure she was stable and strong enough to go back to the assisted living facility. She went home, I believe, on Friday, and there is something wrong with her phone. If you guys have been trying to call her, some of you said you had. I've tried to call her several times on her cell phone, and it just rings and goes to voicemail. But when I spoke to her, she didn't know what was going on. She just thought she had not been getting any calls. So I suspect, and this has happened before, that she has accidentally turned the ringer off. So I'm going to get with the staff there at the landings and or her friend Sue to check that for us so that you guys can continue to call her. You can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram for her address. I do have a screenshot I'll send you of the address, and then you just put to care of Pat Sweeney on it, and they will make sure it gets to her. Other than that, she is great. Like I said, she did not sound at all like she was even sick. You know, there was no phlegm, there was no coughing, there was no, breathing issues whatsoever. So I'm not sure if that can be attributed to her being vaccinated or it just being a very light case of COVID. So I'm grateful that she's doing well. She did suffer a loss recently. As I also explained, she lost Martin, which was the bigger, the fluffier, older cat that you all helped take care of while she was uh, getting settled and transitioning to um, her new home. I suspect that during that time he probably developed diabetes because it wasn't shortly after he got there that Sue noticed he wasn't himself, took him to the vet, and he was diagnosed with diabetes. So he was getting medicine daily. One of Pat's friends there, another resident at the landings, was giving him his medicine every day. But unfortunately, his age, maybe the diabetes did escalate things for him, unfortunately, but he did pass away. So, um, in Pat speak, she just said he went up there. So, but she wasn't, weepy. I think she's adjusted to it. Still very sad because we, the craft community, as it was, really pulled together and helped support her and him and her other cat, Tiger. So, but Tiger's doing good. A little lonely, as to be expected, but other than that, Pat is doing great. So again, if anybody wants to send her a card, a sympathy card, or just a card to say hello, I'm sure she would love that. And like I said, I have her address if anyone would like it, so feel free to reach out to me. Also, thank you to everybody that's kept up with me, kept in touch with me, and kept me positive. It never goes unnoticed while I'm not around or able to craft a whole lot. There are still some pretty strong bonds out there, so I appreciate each and every one of you. You know who you are. And I think that before I leave, I want to talk a little bit about why I took an absence from YouTube. It was a cumulative thing that happened. As with all social media, it's just toxic. It doesn't matter if it's Instagram. It doesn't matter if it's a news bulletin. Media, period, is toxic. And I was beginning to feel pressures that I wasn't comfortable with anymore. I decided to take a break because I didn't want to be pressured to film a haul. I didn't want to be pressured to do swaps anymore. I do miss not doing the Heather's Haunted Haven collab this year, but I just don't feel like the strong bonds are there anymore. A lot of you know, and a lot of you have reached out with questions, and truth be told, I've been burned a lot on YouTube. I've been burned by people who I considered very, very close friends. And a lot of you were around when we went through it with someone, pulled ourselves out of that mess, and we kept going as we always did. Things just started happening, and people grew less and less connected, I guess. Until finally one of the, Alicia left the community altogether. And I'll just speak briefly on this, but it hurt. It hurt a lot. It didn't, not only did it hurt me personally, um, but you build friendships and you build bonds with people, and you've shared things that you wouldn't necessarily share with other people, and then that person is just gone with no real explanation as to why. So it's kind of like, losing a losing a family member almost. When you go from talking to somebody daily, multiple times a day, to nothing at all with no explanation, like I can't really put it into words, but it affected me to the point that I had no desire to craft, especially paper craft, because it reminded me of how inspired I was by her and how inspiring she was to the community. So I also felt not only my own personal loss, but I felt the loss of her presence in the craft community. And it was too much. It really was too much. And I tried to be as cordial as possible to everyone who reached out asking about her. Um, but the truth is, I don't know. I don't even know what country she's in. When she stopped filming and talking to you guys is the exact same time she stopped talking to me, and everybody else she was close to. So I don't mean to be disrespectful at all. I wish her all the best. I hope she's doing well. I just don't have any answers. So that was probably the main reason why I left YouTube altogether. And I know that people are concerned. It's natural when you'd had such a bond with somebody, whether you guys didn't speak to her daily. I know a lot of you did. Um, that absence is felt, and you can't help but to ask someone who may have been close to her as to what happened. Unfortunately, I don't know. I wish I knew. Maybe things could have been different had we been given an explanation. Um, but we didn't. So it just has to be, what it is. It is what it is. And I have to be okay with that. So I don't want it to continue to weigh on me. So that's why I'm putting it out here. It taught me a lot about, I've always been leery of people on social media. You just kind of have to be after experiencing the things that we have in this community. So I don't ever want to come across as being snooty, snotty. I still am the same Heather's Handmade Haven that I have always been. I just have a very, very small circle now, and I'm not willing to um, jeopardize that in any way. So that's why I am staying back in the background a little bit. I don't plan on being on YouTube daily. I don't plan on showing every little thing I do. I got rid of the FOMO, you guys. I don't watch hauls. I have no desire to watch hauls. It's not important to me to continue to amass a hoard that I'll never work through. I'll never amass such a hoard that it would be a burden on my family. If anything were to happen to me, that's just the way I feel about it. I'm only sourcing things that I know I can upcycle and create with. And, I'm a happier person for that. I have more money to spend on other things that I enjoy, which is home decor and saving for our down payment on our new home. So, with that said, I am happy to come on if anybody's interested in the mixed media. Just let me know in the comments below if you'd still like to see that kind of thing from me. I'm happy to share as much as I can, but again, it won't be, as long as you guys don't have any expectations, I'm not going to make any promises. So I'll do what I can, when time permits, and I think that's going to be what works best for me. So with that, you guys, I hope everybody has a continued wonderful week. I think today's Wednesday, so I meant to do Tea Tuesday yesterday, but didn't get around to it. So the house is quiet today. The guys are out rebuilding a deck today. I have a crock pot full of some good smelling roast with onions on top, and I no longer do the cooking and the cleaning, so I did put the roast in for Minky, and when he gets home, he will finish the cooking. So I work, he works, he cooks and cleans. I think that's fair. So anyway, you guys, that's all I had today. I hope to see some comments down below, if only just to say hello. I look forward to seeing you guys when I can. Much love.